welcome back to my channel. I am back with this week's Teen Mom Recap. Before I get started with this week's video, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel because I post new videos every single week about the newest episode of Teen Mom The Next Chapter, and if it's not currently airing, we just talk about some news that's going on in the Teen Mom world. If that's something you want to watch, go ahead and subscribe, and anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this week's video. So this week, I really wanted to talk about Caitlin and Tyler because they have a lot of drama going on with their adoption. So we saw in the season finale last week that Teresa and Brandon denied them their annual visit. But the real drama started about a week and a half ago, when Caitlin announced that Teresa had blocked her by posting this. Adoption is crazy. I'm blocked, all because of me sending updates and pictures of her sisters. How is that fair for Carly and her siblings? It's sad for sure, but it makes me sad for the kids. When you're a bio mom, you have no say, no control. All I can do is show Carly in the future how much I tried and continue to do so. She can make the decision herself to understand who shut who out. And initially when I saw this, I was on her side. I was disgusted. I don't think that blocking and ghosting is like a good idea on Brandon and Teresa's part. To me, if you agreed to an open adoption, it's not right to just cut off contact with no explanation, unless there's like abuse or like drugs going on, which doesn't seem to be the case. In general, I don't think ghosting is a mature way to handle things. The only time you should be ghosting someone is if you like went on one date with them and you weren't feeling it, or the person was abusive or dangerous, like someone you don't have any obligation to. But blocking the biological parents of your child who you agreed to an open adoption with, it would have something pretty extreme to justify it. Then Caitlin posts these screen recordings of her non-stop texting updates to Brandon and Teresa, like every few days with no response, and this went on for months. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I kind of see why she would block her. Like, I don't think Caitlin meant any harm, but if they didn't respond after like the third text, that might be your sign to stop. Like, you just look psycho at that point. Because you have to look at it from Brandon and Teresa's perspective. It looks like you're bragging about how much fun Carly's sisters are having without her. It looks like, hey, I'm gonna force you to look at all this despite you saying that you didn't want to receive our texts. And then Caitlin posted this as well. I gave them one of my biggest gifts ever. I will not let them take my voice. I post this so hopefully Carly will see it and see that I always tried. And you could read the rest. I'm not going to read it all. And then here's another screen. Basically, she thinks that Carly is questioning them and that's why they cut her off. And another one. I guess people were saying that she was putting them on blast and kind of criticizing her for that. And she's like, no, I'm just sharing my own feelings. I'm not calling them any names. And I think her feelings are valid. Like, I don't see any negatives to Carly knowing her siblings. Unless, of course, we have addicts and alcoholics like Butch and April hanging around while she's trying to get to know her siblings. Remember that April showed up to the last meetup drunk. And that's most likely why Brandon and Teresa are reluctant, which is understandable. Although I do wish they would just say that instead of blocking and ghosting. So up until this point, it's mostly Caitlin ranting. But then Tyler decides to come in. And I think he handles it a little better than Kate, just because he's more eloquent with his words. So he posts this, and you can pause to read. So he's saying that multiple people advise them to send updates. And it's like, okay, but if you're only sending them updates after your visit was denied, and they're not responding, at that point I feel like you know that they don't want to see it, and you're just sending them out of spite. Like, look, see, we did everything right and they blocked us for no reason, when that's not the whole story. Then he says he's posting all this so that Carly knows that they love her and they want to see her, and they feel like Brandon and Teresa are restricting her access to information. And I can believe that's probably partially true, but I think he also wants them to get backlash and internet hate. And then when it turned out that like most people actually sided with Brandon and Teresa, it was kind of like an unfortunate wake-up call for Tyler. He also says that he has no intention to shut up or stop posting. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna make Brandon and Teresa change their mind. Then Tyler goes on Instagram Live a bunch, which annoys me because it's like harder to follow than a text post, and I'm not gonna sit there watching that for 2 hours. And I'll leave some links down below if you want to watch the lives, but the gist of it was, Tyler says that he's not going to sue them or try to change the adoption agreement, which is a joke. He can't change the agreement at this point anyway. It's very much set in stone at this point. He says he knows that Teresa doesn't like him because they have very different communication styles and cultural differences, which is a very nice way of saying that Brandon and Teresa are extremely conservative and religious, and Kate and Tyler are kind of, well, trashy. And I like them, but they're a little bit trashy. But I will take both sides here and say that they both knew going into it what the other side's personalities were like. Just as Brandon and Teresa knew that Caitlin and Tyler were teen parents with a history of addiction in their family, Caitlyn and Tyler knew that Brandon and Teresa were extremely religious, extremely conservative, so maybe this was never a good match from the beginning. Tyler says that Teresa refusing to talk to them is childish, and I actually do agree with that. Like, if she would just send them a reason, I would have way more respect for them. Just a quick like, hey, it's the OnlyFans. That's why we don't want to talk to you. Or hey, it's because April showed up drunk last time. I think that just setting them the reason would kind of bring down the anxiety of it and the what if nature of it all. Because if you leave it mysterious and open to interpretation like that, I can see how that would drive someone crazy. Then Tyler reveals that before Teresa blocked him, she did actually say to them, like, hey, we don't want to talk to you anymore. But she did not give them a reason and refused to talk on the phone with them when they asked for a phone call. And to me, that kind of makes Caitlyn and Tyler look worse, because it's like, why did you keep reaching out after that? She obviously made it clear she did not want to talk to you. And also, this is interesting what he said here. He says that Carly has an adopted brother, which we did know about that, and Tyler claims that that birth mom has way more access than they do to Carly. And he thinks it's because him and Caitlyn are on TV, and that's why Brandon and Teresa don't like him. He says that Carly, who is 15, has no social media, no access to the internet, no smartphone, and has never seen the show Teen Mom. Which I find that hard to believe at her age. Like, at least she would have, like, friends who do have that stuff and would show her it at school. Unless she's homeschooled, I'm not too sure. So Tyler's reason for thinking why they were blocked, he thinks that Carly's getting older and started asking them questions, and he thinks that Carly will come to them and ask them more when she turns 18. So it's very, like, narcissistic, like, oh, it's because of us. She just wants to be with us so bad. That's why Brandon and Teresa cut off contact. And that might be part of it. I'm not going to immediately discount that. But I think there are two much bigger reasons why they cut off contact. One being the OnlyFans. Because if you look at the news articles, the last Carly visit was around, like, June of 2023. Tyler's OnlyFans looks like it came out in July 2023. So the timeline makes sense. They were doing visits all the way up until the OnlyFans came out. And I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. They already make upwards of $500,000 each season. Was the OF money really worth risking the relationship with Carly and her extremely religious conservative parents? Kate claims that they would totally stop the OF if Brandon and Teresa tell them that that's the reason why they cut them off, but I mean, like, this should be obvious as something that would bother them. Second reason, I think that April showing up drunk to the reunion last time really turned off Brandon and Teresa, obviously. Probably they're thinking like, wow, if we do this again, are they gonna bring April's drunk ass again? Is she gonna cause a scene? We don't want this around Carly, and if we confront Caitlyn and Tyler about it, are they gonna blast us online again? Because they sure love doing that. And I'm also not too sure that Carly's gonna, like, run into Caitlyn and Tyler's arms the second she turns 18. What Kate and Tyler don't realize is that in Brandon and Teresa's social standing, you don't move out the second you turn 18. You go to college when you turn 18. So most likely, as Carly, gets closer and closer to 18, she's probably applying to colleges, taking the SATs, getting into dorms, not, like, moving in with Caitlyn and Tyler in Michigan. She probably has, like, a little more going for her than that. But will she get, like, a smartphone and reach out? Will she, go to college where she has more freedom and maybe reach out then? It's possible. I can't say that. What I don't like is these people on the internet that are like, Carly hates Caitlyn and Tyler, obviously. Like, we don't know that. Like, people get a little bit too invested. It's kind of weird to me. We really have no idea how she feels, and I don't think she hates them. Now, do Brandon and Teresa hate them? Yeah, maybe. So after all this putting Brandon and Teresa on blast still has not provoked a response from them, Caitlyn and Tyler just go apeshit and start nonstop posting more lives, more rants, more TikToks about adoption, almost daily, just digging themselves deeper and deeper into this hole. Tyler said that he hoped Brandon and Teresa healed from their infertility journey, which is one of the most passive-aggressive comments I've ever read. Then he calls them out for not helping Caitlyn mentally after the adoption, which is not their job. So Tyler's going live. Caitlyn goes live a little bit too, but mostly she reposts all these birth mom TikToks. And I really think, this is gonna sound mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but I think that them having, like, no real job is so detrimental to their mental health. Because they have nothing else to focus on but the adoption and Carly, and the adoption and Carly. I mean, they also got, like, 3 other kids they could be taken care of, but I just get the feeling that Caitlyn found, like, this anti-adoption community on TikTok, because I've seen it, and they get very extreme in their views. And I feel like she's just scrolling through this birth mom TikTok, fully immersed in it, probably all day long. sitting there scrolling, obsessing over it because she has like nothing else to focus on. Like I remember for a while Caitlyn was doing like microblading and stuff. Whatever happened to that? Does she still do that? I just think that like a distraction for them would be so beneficial. A career, something on the side, so they're not just like sitting there all day thinking about this adoption, which happened 15 years ago. Like those are her parents at this point. She's lived with them for 15 years. So lastly, let's watch some of the clips that they've posted before they get deleted.
I didn't go about it the right way. I wish I would have been more supportive with her during all that. And she got ridiculed by the public by going and getting help. And even I, at that time, didn't understand. So for her to keep, like I said, for her to just continue to share her story and to be so vulnerable, to take all the brunt of all of this, yeah, it's just, I don't care what anyone says about her. I think she is the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. And I just wish, people would give her a little more grace and understanding. Because at the end of the day, she was failed. People failed her. People failed her being a young daughter and a child in a crisis. That's crazy. Being a father now to daughters, like, dude. Oh my God. I would just, oh. Yeah, anyway. It's a lot. I didn't mean to get on. Sorry, I don't know, this is stupid, but this is reality. This is adoption, which is loss and trauma on all sides. And I just ask that people be, just be compassionate, try to understand. Yeah, I just want to get that.
So yeah, there's a lot of talk about like, we deserve to share this story. They're not going to shut us up. Like, she deserves to talk about it. But it's like, it's hard because Brandon and Teresa did agree to this open adoption. And they did know that they were going to be on that one episode of 16 and Pregnant. But I don't think they knew that, Teen Mom was going to become a thing, because that didn't start airing till later. And they didn't know it was becoming this whole series and it was going to be public all the way up until, 15 years later, 2024. And they probably, as Carly gets older, want a more private life for her because she's getting into that, age where she's probably going to get messages from weirdos on the internet and people prying into her life, and they just didn't sign up for that. But it's like, they kind of did. I don't know. It's so difficult. Then Tyler reposted this comment that I thought was interesting. They also agreed to adopt this child under the conditions of remaining open and having transparent communication. And that's true. We have told them multiple times we would never share Carly's personal struggles or speak for her. We would only share our own experiences. Before anyone says they don't owe you an explanation, you're right, they don't, but I happen to think it's a very weak argument / reason to not help, aid, or advocate for a child's protection. And then Caitlyn posted this video.
Hey, good almost afternoon. I can't believe that I am having to hop on here and talk about this, but here I am. I wanted to set something straight. I'm seeing the comment a lot that people are saying that Tyler gave me an ultimatum, either my baby or him. First off, that comment is absolutely disgusting on so many levels. For one, when you say something like that, it strips me of all of the strength and sorrow that it took me as a birth mom to place my child. Secondly, if you think that I would just give my baby away for a man, that is absolutely untrue. And to think that I would still be with said man after all of these years, if he did give me an ultimatum of either my baby or him, that's absolutely disgusting. If you're not involved in adoption in any form, let alone a birth parent, for you to say something like that and not understand the strength that it took or the sorrow that I went through to place Carly, then why are you making comments like that? Not only does it strip me away from all of the power that I had to use within my being to hand my child over to somebody else, you're also taking it away from Tyler. Do you think that he did not want to keep this child? Do you think that he didn't spend many nights crying just like I did? It's just, I do not understand where people get this from. I know that there was a scene, that was filmed that Tyler said that he thought that if we would have parented Carly, that we would not be together. He's not implying that if I didn't place Carly, he would have broke up with me. What he is implying is that teen parents typically do not stay together. If you look at our show, and majority of all of the parents that decided to parent their children, 9 out of 10 of them are not together because teen parents go through stress and all of the things to raise a baby. So I agree with him. If we would have kept Carly, we probably wouldn't still be together, and we still wouldn't have had all of these other children that we have had in this life that we have had. Why? Because most of the time, teen couples do not stay together. Look at the statistics. So I'm hopping on here to let you know, as a birth mom who placed her child, he did not force me. It was my own strength, my own power, my fighting my mental demons on the daily for 9 months, and even after she was born for the 3 days that we had her. So, I guess at the end of the day, believe what you want, but just know when you think things like that, it strips me of all of my strength as a birth mom and the strength of Tyler also being a birth dad. It's disgusting that any of you guys would think like that. So, have a good day, I guess. And remember that if you're not involved in adoption at all, sit back and keep your mouth shut.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I think her and Tyler deeply regret that adoption. I think they wish they never did it. And I think they are stuck in this catch-22 situation because they were chosen for their story on 16 and Pregnant because they were doing adoption, which is very rare for people to do. So if they hadn't chosen adoption, they probably wouldn't have gotten chosen for Teen Mom, and they would have raised Carly in a chaotic struggle environment. But they chose the adoption, Brandon and Teresa adopted her, and then they got filthy fucking rich. And could have taken care of her financially. So it's probably an awful feeling that is very hard for them to come to terms with. And even in this video, I can see her trying to justify it teen couples usually don't stay together. If we hadn't kept Carly, we wouldn't have stayed together. Just trying to justify it in her mind, I didn't get to keep Carly, but at least I got to keep Tyler. But I think they are being at least somewhat careful of what they're saying. They keep saying, I noticed over and over, they keep saying, we're not calling them names. And it's yeah, but you're still putting them on blast for the entire internet, trying to get everybody on your side. So while you might have that plausible deniability of we didn't say anything bad about you. It's you are trying to say something bad, but then no one's really taking your side. So, I did see some people on the live taking her side. I think it depends on what platform you look at too, because if you go on Instagram where people are, following her and choosing to follow her, a lot of people will agree with her. It's probably somewhere in the middle, and that's why I'm sticking with the middle on this. I really do see both sides. I agree that there are valid reasons for Brandon and Teresa wanting to cut them off. Keeping their kids around alcoholics like April, not cool. Breaking their boundaries and the rules they set in place. Posting on OnlyFans, which is probably incredibly embarrassing for Carly, who's growing up in a very religious environment where that's not accepted. On top of the embarrassment of being on Teen Mom. That's already kind of embarrassing. But I do wish, and maybe this is the only part where I'm taking Caitlyn and Tyler's side, I do wish that they would just explain it, because I also am like an intensely curious person. That's why I like these shows. So like if you were to tell me like nothing, if you were to just ghost me and not give me a reason why you're cutting me off, I would also probably go down this rabbit hole and go insane trying to figure out why. But would I put them on blast? No, because it's not helping anybody or any part of the situation. Oh, we're bringing awareness. At what cost? At what cost are you bringing awareness? The relationship with Carly? The relationship with Brandon and Teresa? Maybe if y'all like shut the fuck up for a little bit, they might change their minds. So yeah, this is a very controversial topic, and I've been seeing everybody talk about this. Even like Trisha Paytas, like people who you wouldn't normally think watch the show are actually giving their opinions on this. So leave a comment down below. What do you think? Are you on Brandon and Teresa's side? Are you on Caitlyn and Tyler's side? Are you somewhere in the middle? Because I definitely land somewhere in the middle. Maybe like more towards Brandon and Teresa, but still like in the middle. Let me know what you think down below. Leave a comment and make sure to subscribe for more Team Mom recaps every week.